The Discover Hamont Podcast, Episode 1. The Discover Hamont Podcast is dedicated to exploring the groups, businesses, and individuals that make up Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and why they love it here. I am your host, Brian Hogg, and in this episode, I interview Sofia Stanidis and John Williams of the Hamilton Conservation Authority. Sofia and John share their stories of how the beautiful parks and watershed of Hamilton are preserved and made available for us all to enjoy, and some of their favorite parts of it and the rest of the city. The episode was recorded on location at the Innovation Factory Boardroom at the McMaster Innovation Park. For show notes, other episodes, and more, visit discoverhamont.ca. Welcome, everyone, to the Discover Hamont Podcast. I'm here with Sofia Stanidis and John Williams from the Hamilton Conservation Authority. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Excellent. So how about we start off a bit about what you guys do? Obviously, you have two kind of very different roles for the same organization. Maybe we'll start with you, Sofia, and go from there.
Sure, yeah. I've been with the Conservation Authority now for just over 7 years, and I manage the business development efforts for the organization. So that's anything from special events to educational programming, film shoots, regular gate admissions to a certain extent, user agreements, anything like that.
Excellent. And yourself?
I am the project manager for the Dundas Valley 50-year vision and strategy.
Yes, which I saw that title, so I'm like, okay, what does that entail?
Yeah, it's a mouthful. Basically, it's a community engagement strategy based on comprehensive collaborative efforts. So I seek out partnership opportunities within the community and within the HCA, the Hamilton Conservation Authority, to benefit the community, preserve it, and enhance its certain features that we all hold dear. And that's in the Dundas Valley area, which, if you've been, is beautiful, and I recommend you go. And as well as the Ancaster and surrounding smaller communities like Greensville, for instance.
Okay, so how far along the 50-year plan
Well, in some circles we're in year one, but basically the Dundas Valley vision has been on the tip of the tongue since about 2007, 2008. But as far as implementation goes, actually actively seeking out projects, it's in its first year, or finished its first year just now in January.
Okay. Excellent. So what are some of the other things you guys kind of help with? Because it sounds like you're helping a bit with what she's doing and vice versa. So is it pretty much a team effort and whoever can see different things that need to happen, you kind of work together on things?
Probably the department that I work with the most is with our marketing department, just because it's really controlling what the public is seeing our organization do. Yeah. So any really marketing, business development efforts, and then everything I do really falls back on the whole organization. So if I'm creating a project or a program, it's supposed to be in support of the whole Conservation Authority's general mission. So I'm not going to create an event, for example, that's damaging to the environment, or and the money that I do generate, because we operate 70% of our own budget, we have to come up with on our own. Oh, wow. So that's through our office there, and that goes into wages or trail maintenance or things like that. And then so really it's all integrated. Everybody sort of has a say in what I do as well, just so that this way I'm doing what they want to see the organization have. Yeah. I guess I explained that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
We're very much a small organization with a very broad set of strategic directives and what we're trying to accomplish. And in doing so, we all need to really be generalists in part, but more importantly is that focus on teamwork. That interdepartmental communication is just so important for us to have success.
Definitely.
And I'd say that's definitely the biggest part, is we're all very much a part of a team and larger bodies, for sure.
Yeah, and I think if you talk to anybody in a not-for-profit environment, the general, idea is you wear many hats and you have to do many different things, and it just sort of comes with the job. But it's great, because then you never know what your day is going to look like. You just constantly are doing something different and working with a new person, and it makes us so much closer as an organization too. So we genuinely know who we're working with, and we support one another, and it's really important. Yeah. It's rewarding.
Oh, for sure. What are some of, obviously, like you said, you've got such a broad amount of areas and things that you can perform, especially for the marketing. How do you guys decide, like, okay, this is the area that we're going to promote more or try and drive more events to, or is it based on, who's coming to you?
Well, we try not to pick favorites with the parks itself. So we usually focus on, if we're not not promoting just the Conservation Authority in general through our membership sales, then we're usually promoting an individual program or event. So the biggest of which would probably be our Christie Antique Show, which has its own separate marketing budget, for example, or maybe our educational programs. And then that's how we'll promote Westfield, for example, in their educational programming instead of just Westfield in general. We will do specific targeted marketing for some of the different parks, for example, Valens, who has camping, or 50.0 has camping, right. Just to promote maybe the campground on a different way. But it's usually pretty, we promote just the Conservation Authority in general and being a member and then what that means and what you're included in and how you get to be a part of it all, right?
Yeah. And what are some of so obviously there's a ton of different events. What's one that you're kind of most excited about coming up?
I am so excited about Harvest Picnic this year. It's just going to be so great. I'm obsessed with Bahamas, and he's playing at Harvest Picnic. So that's great. And we have a really good relationship with the promoter of that event, and he's brought so many great partners to the table. And it's great for John actually as well, because we do incorporate the agricultural community within it, and that's a huge part of his project as well. Yeah. So it really fits nicely in with what we do. Even though it's a concert, it's great for us. We have a really good relationship with him, and I'm just so obsessed with that event. It's so much fun.
And one of the less known parts of that event is all the information you can actually learn about the agricultural community and how important they are as an industry and how it is as a lifestyle as well. So the Greenbelt Harvest Picnic is what facilitates that through funding through the Greenbelt Foundation, is really predicated on that movement as well. Local food, local agriculture, really, knowing your farmer, community sustained agriculture, for instance, and people that are actively involved in that community, both as a purchaser and as a producer. So has this whole altruistic side of it as well. It says it's not just a concert, even though it can be quite a good show as well.
Oh, for sure. Is it like it's just a one-day event, or is it like a weekend?
It's a one-day event, and there's two stages, the front of house stage and the regular stage. And it's a lot of Canadian musicians, and it's sort of folk, and it's not really a general style of music, but it's a lot of folk, more grassroots musicians. Gordon Lightfoot's headlining this year, and he's great. And Bahamas, we have, oh my gosh, so many people. Martha Wainwright, a lot of, like I said, folk musicians, but it's going to be amazing. Right. And the average attendance for that event is huge too. I mean, we're upwards of 10,000 people, between 7,000 and 10,000 people, and they come from all over. Yeah. So it's great for our area because we get that exposure that we wouldn't otherwise get. And they're there for one day, and they can go swimming and fishing, and it's so much more than just a concert.
Very cool. So what brought you, how long have you both been with the Conservation Authority, roughly? I think you were saying, 2007, 2008?
That's how long the project is of 2007. I've been here since...
a while.
No, I'm trying to be specific. May 24th, 2013. I'm actually one of the newest employees on HCA. That isn't seasonal anyway.
Yeah. And I'm one of the youngest, but I've also been there longer than a lot of them. So I'm going on my 8th year. Okay. 7 or 8 years I've been there now. So
good. And what brought you guys to Hamilton? Obviously, there's a lot of different conservation authorities and natural green spaces throughout Ontario and Canada and everywhere else. So what brought you to Hamilton specifically? You're both from Hamilton originally?
I'm from Toronto originally, of all places, but I've lived all over. The more predominant part of my life has been in Hamilton, with secondary school and university being what kept me here. The outdoor spaces are what brought me to the industry. And wherever you are in Canada, it's beautiful. And our accessibility to it is just profound. I mean, I think we really undervalue our proximity to outdoor spaces and outdoor recreation, wherever it may be. So in Hamilton, you'd be even more surprised, be it Steeltown Legacy. But in actuality, you take one look south, if you're down the mountain, you could just see down the mountain the escarpment.
It's a mountain of sorts.
And it's outstanding how much is there.
Yeah.
Miles and miles and miles and miles of trails of all uses. Yeah. It's brilliant. It's great. It's fantastic. Why wouldn't I want to be a part of it? Yeah. So when I started looking for places to go outside of university, I said, why not go where the passion is? Why not go be part of making the world a little bit better?
Yeah, I was born and raised here. I grew up hiking the trails with my dad and, camping at Valens and I spent pretty much every weekend at Crooks Hollow with my mom, picnicking and things like that. So it's really just always been there for me. And my background is not even close to an environmental background, my educational background. The Conservation Authority kind of found me. I was sort of recruited. Okay. And when I was actually still in university, and I'm so glad I took that job. It's just, awesome. It's great. I didn't really know at the time, even when I was hiking and biking the trails that I've been using so frequently, that it was even part of the Conservation Authority. Mm-hmm. And I learned so much actually working for them that I wish was more public at the time, because I didn't even know, that so much goes into maintenance of it, for example, and I'm just using it like a city park, which we're so not. Yeah. So, yeah.
What other stuff, actually, because like we were talking about before, there's a lot of stuff that maybe people don't realize that the Conservation Authority does. So, yeah, maybe another example or two of stuff that you've kind of learned since you've been there as to what's under their umbrella.
I learned that there are so many departments and so many different people that make the organization run, and departments like that John's a part of as well, like even stewardship or land management, planning and engineering. We have engineers. Who knew? I didn't know, and now I do, of course. But things like that. You go and you see what people would consider like a park ranger, and you think that's it. And they get paid out of the city budget, and that's it. But it's so much more than that, and we rely so heavily on that money that comes through those gates and donations and things like that to really just keep those parks running. So I don't know if you want to elaborate, because you're newer. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate to have worked in actually a variety of the departments that the HCA has, whether it's stewardship now more recently, or land management now in working in construction and infrastructural improvements to our conservation areas, but also in regards to watershed planning and engineering, where the focus is much more on preserving and grasping at natural heritage and trying to have as much and prolong it for as long as possible for the not only human experience but human health. And also I've been at these recreational opportunities, whether it's 50 Point Marina or Valens, where you can go camping. My first experience actually, it was with the Conservation Authorities when I was about 14. I had no idea that I was at a school trip in high school to go winter camping in Valens. You get in the car at 5 a.m., you're kind of in and out of sleep. You get there, you think you're up north, central Ontario easily. And then you go there, you shovel all your snow, you make a Quincy, which you pull it all out, and you sleep outside in the snow. This was my first experience, and this is how I started to really go, was I really in Hamilton? This is crazy. And it's fantastic in that sort of sense. So we're doing so much that's quiet, acquiring land for its preservation and ecological integrity, to giving people something to do on a Saturday with them and their family. And that everything in between there, it's fantastic. We are just surrounded with a fantastic group of people that keep it going like clockwork, and it's great.
And speaking of keeping it going, so I mean, you mentioned obviously with larger events, 7,000 to 10,000 people, and then even just day to day. I mean, do you find it a challenge? Like, has ever come to a point where, look, if we get even more people, this is going to start to deteriorate a lot of the natural environment? I mean,
well, lately we've had to really look into what events that size do. We've been targeting individual conservation areas and what their core business would be, right? So more from a recreational perspective. So what do they do? When you get to that park, what do you do? What are they known for? What can you do there? And we've really seen that Christie Lake is really the only conservation area that can accommodate such large-scale events for parking, general infrastructure, washroom, everything, right? And we haven't tested it much further than 14,000 people. So once we get to that point, we've come close. We've done 12,500 with the Christie Antique Show. So that's been huge. But we've been doing minor improvements to permanent fencing, for example, where we were putting up temporary fencing over and over again. That's gone. Nice, beautiful fencing.
Really adds to the sustainability of our operations as well.
Yeah.
With being so small and growing continuously, we constantly look at reinventing ourselves to be both more environmentally friendly in and of ourselves, but also sustainable in our operation and business structure.
Yeah, and we've brought in a bit more of a sustainability plan for the waste management for special events as well, having better marked bins, for example. We tried volunteers for a while, and for an event that size, it's just too hard to have volunteers educating people on where to put their waste, but the bins have been helping. Yeah, it's a lot of people to tell, that's a recyclable object. But even our food vendors, we always promote that they use only recyclable or biodegradable biodegradable materials for their packaging, things like that. So wherever we can, we try to be a little bit more conscious of what it's doing to the area around it. But luckily, I mean, not much can hurt that area of Christie Lake. It's a big expansive field that's used for recreation purposes. So we're not getting into the ponds, for example, or more of the environmentally sensitive areas. So
expand on that. Like, we're also seeing that it's very popular now to experience our outdoors. And other areas, like smaller conservation areas, whether it be Webster's Falls or Tews Falls, they very much have a capacity limit day to day and by season that offers quite a contentious issue, environmentally speaking. Right. So what is this going to be used for? Do we want to develop it anymore? Become very difficult questions to answer sometimes. And that speaks more to that, do we have to be worried? Making trails is great, but they don't belong everywhere.
No.
Right? Certain areas are very environmentally sensitive and we can't have them. Even though people do want to get close to nature and experience it, and we can all sympathize. Don't get me wrong. But.
And then also getting that messaging that that's what the trails are for, is to be able to experience the area in a safe way, right? Instead of going off trail, or things even like keeping your dog on a leash, as important as that is in our areas. Is keeping them on a leash, keeping them on trail.
Yeah, people think it's simply because of how how well the dog's trained, but it's much more than that.
No. Dogs, there's a pitch, and they don't realize, and they head down there. And
coyotes are now a common problem. Like animal to animal interaction, human to animal. These are all multiple concerns, and it's much more than just keep your dog on a leash. It's much more involved than that.
But they might not realize that till it's too late. So hopefully they get the message before.
They go. It goes with anything.
So we mentioned before, so like I didn't realize when we booked it there that there were caves. Apparently, I haven't seen them. They're super cavernous. But there's ice climbing, which I didn't realize. I guess maybe just each like one thing that maybe people don't realize Hamilton has to offer that you think they should. I know there's probably many.
There's quite a few.
I'm
just trying to think of a few. Salmon. You can go salmon fishing at a 50 point. Fishermen will know it. But if you're not into the fisherman's culture, you won't know that there's a pretty good marina right at 50 Point, 50 Road in toward Winona, Stony Creek area. And you can access Lake Ontario there and experience some of the best fishing you can experience in the province, never mind the city. And then
Fallon's good fishing too.
Ice fishing derby coming up February 14th, which is an amazing family-oriented activity, or for the romantically inclined to do that. That's true. It's a special relationship, I guess. But to speak to the caves, that's the karst features, which is up at the Hermosa Karst at Mount Albion Highland in Upper Mountain Stony Creek area. And that was a great find. And that's an example of how the Hamilton Conservation Authority can do some fantastic work with the help of the community. As this area was being sought for residential suburban development, it was found that this unique feature, and as you say, surprisingly unique feature in that it's a cavernous karst feature and featured in the escarpment, and we're just lucky to have had it, and we're lucky to have the opportunity to preserve it, because there was a time when that wouldn't have happened. So that'd be 2, 3. I'm naming so many. I can get lost out.
It's gonna be tough when you get to there's a little lightning round after, and one of the questions will be difficult for you.
What's the exact measurement too? Like, not a lot of people know that Tews Falls is 2 feet short.
It's so close.
It's almost 2 feet shorter than Niagara Falls, but it's close to the same exact height. It's crazy, and that's you can hike there from Webster's Falls. People don't know we don't want them to go to Webster's Falls. They're ruining it. That we have so many other waterfalls to experience. What else? There's so many different things. I mean, you can go on all day.
Ice climbing at Tews and
ice climbing is great. We work with user groups. We issue individual permits, but it's great because it doesn't really do much damage because they're just really going into the ice. So it's not like they're...
Which goes away and
like they're not doing like a waterfall scaling, for example, in the summer where they're, rappelling down the waterfalls and they're,
going into the rock.
Like it's pretty passive, and we work with great groups on that, and it's a good alternative, right? Because not many people know that we're open year round, that we operate, all the time. So, it's a good alternative for winter activities. Get out, try something new. It's a good new hobby, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's fairly safe because they are with trained professionals, and it's small group sizes. No more than 10 really. So you can sign up and do that. And
we really preach responsible tourism, if you will. be active in that. Keep to the trails. These are simple little stewardship pieces of advice I can give to you to enjoy our outdoor space. Because at the end of the day, we want you to be able to come back and come back and come back and bring your kids and your grandkids and great grandkids and just forever. Yeah. And that's what's really going to keep Canadian tradition alive.
It's true.
As far as outdoor recreation goes, and as well as keeping these natural areas available for the people to experience, and then also add to our health and well-being in the city. Is just, we are, the passion that people have for the outdoors is what preserves our outdoors. Yeah. And so that balance between the two is really what the HCA is all about. Yeah. In my perspective, anyway. I can't speak to everything.
Unified mission. This is good. Very cool. So, as I kind of alluded to, there's kind of a little lightning round that we like to do, which just to get to know Hamilton a bit better and from your perspective. So they're pretty straightforward. So one of them is just like favorite restaurant that you.
I love Radius. It is such a great restaurant.
Since the relaunch, or before?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good new one for me.
I try not to go to the same restaurant twice.
Nice.
But that being said, I usually forget where I've been and where I haven't been. Probably, oddly enough, it'd be Snooty Fox.
Nice.
It is the one I currently go to. Yeah. And that's mostly about the atmosphere. Yeah. I will admit. So
it's a good pub.
Okay.
Favorite cafe?
Oh, I'm biased, Mulberry.
Yeah.
I'm also on Hive, and we meet there often, so.
Good stuff.
Detour, right in the heart of Dundas.
Perfect. Favorite local shop? So something non-food.
I love sewing, so I'd have to say needlework.
Adventuratic, also in the heart of Dundas. And right into our core group.
You're not a member of the Dundas BAA, are you?
Not technically. No, I'm not. But
Dundas BIA, if you're listening, you got a
shout out. You owe me one.
Favorite event? So I know we already mentioned a couple, but are there other events, maybe ones you guys don't run?
I like the Westfield Ice Cream Festival, Ice Cream Carnival.
Ice Cream Carnival.
I like all the small offshoot ones, like the ice fishing derbies and alike.
Okay.
Telling Tales. It's a really good one.
Cool. What is Telling Tales? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's sort of a partnership between multiple different people, but it takes place at Westfield in September, and it's children's authors, and you go out and it's a full day of children's lit, and it's amazing. It's such a good event, and I think the Hamilton Public Library is a part of it as well. It's huge. It's such a great event.
Good. And now what I think will be the most difficult one for you guys, favorite natural feature. How do you choose this one?
Oh my goodness. I really just enjoyed hiking the entire Dundas Valley. But my favorite place in our entire watershed is most definitely Crooks Hollow. And that's even after the way they've changed it. It's I like it even better now, which I didn't think I would.
Well, probably because it was changing and that's how it was, right?
Exactly, because I had so many memories attached to it, but definitely Crooks Hollow Conservation Area.
I'm going to go with Dundas Peak. It's probably one of the most popular one there. I almost feel like I'm copping out saying it. No. But growing up on the East End, or the last little while, I rarely got to experience the West End in all of its glory. As far as the natural features and the conservation areas and just how much was available to me. Never made it that far. There was a lot of Battlefield, Punch Bowl, beautiful places, great places to go as well. And never really got into it, I guess. And upon working, just before working here, going to school here, it started to open up my eyes to everything that was the West End. And the first time standing up there and just seeing mixed land uses from industry to agriculture to suburban to the little urban village that is Dundas, you go, holy, this place is great. Yeah. Coots Paradise, the escarpment on both sides of you, and you're sitting up above it all. It's fantastic.
It's a beautiful view shot. Someone said all of Dundas is one of the answers, so saying Dundas Peak is not necessarily a cop-out.
True.
There you go.
But I figured it'd be Dundas.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, and we'll put some notes for some of the events and how people can keep in touch. And we look forward to enjoying some of the natural features you guys help to maintain. So
great.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. You can discover more episodes at discoverhamont.ca. Subscribe and leave a rating and review on iTunes, and nominate yourself or another individual who you think would be great for the show at discoverhamont.ca/nominate. Until next week, take care.